أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الذين يبلغون رسالات الله ويخشونه ولا يخشون أحدا إلا الله وكفى بالله حسيبا. So, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, now this topic today is about a great scholar of Yemen. His name is Muhammad bin Ali al-Shawkani. He was born in 1173 of Hijrah. 1250 is the date of his death. He lived for 77 years. But because we are more familiar with our calendar here, that is from 1760 to 1834. 1834. So it means around 184 years ago. Why we are speaking about Imam Shawkani? Imam Shawkani of Yemen. That is a very important topic to see that how a country which was ruled by Zaydiyya. Zaydiyya are known as one of the branches of Shia. For 1,000 years, for 1100 years, they have ruled there. So, how such a person like Shawkani, who was a great scholar, teaching Quran and Sunnah, and was known with his movements against bid'ah, how he came to be there in that country. So first of all, as you know, Yemen is in the south of Arabian Peninsula. Islam entered there without any fighting at all. Sahaba Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in, like Muaz ibn Jabal, like Abu Musa al-Ashari, they went there to propagate Islam. And then among the Tabi'een, you got very top name like Ta'us, and then later Hammam and Ma'mar and Abdul Razak, and even among the Imams like Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmad, like Abdullah ibn Mubarak, Ibn Ma'in, Ishaq ibn Rahawai, Muhammad ibn Yahya, all these people, they have visited Yemen. Even the Prophet ﷺ has praised the people of Yemen. They are very soft in their heart. أتاكم أهل اليمن هم ألين قلوبا وأرق أفئدة. Very compassionate in their heart. الإيمان يمان والحكمة يمانية. Iman is Yamanin, praising Yemen, and Hikmah is from Yemen as well. And if you read Surah Saba, Allah SWT said about the city of Saba, Baldatun Tayyibah wa Rabbun Ghafur. Baldatun Tayyibah, a very good town, and Allah SWT is very merciful upon them. So Yemen got a very important place in the Islamic history. Now, what happened? Let us take some background. As you know that there is, after the Prophet ﷺ, 4 Khulafa, and then Bani Umayyah started ruling. Among Bani Umayyah is a caliph called Hisham, son of Abdul Malik, Hisham bin Abdul Malik. During that time, we hear about Zayd bin Ali. Who is Ali that? Ali. Which Ali? Zayd bin Ali Zainul Abidin. He is the son of Al-Hussein. Al-Hussein, the son of Sayyidina Ali, Ali bin Abi Talib. So this person, Zayd bin Ali Zainul Abidin, that was the first one to whom Zaydiyya is affiliated. He was born in the year 80 of Hijrah. Now I am going to mention Hijrah calendar, which is easier to understand. If you remember that now we are in 1440 years of Hijrah, 1440 of Hijrah. So he was born in 80, and during the time of Hisham ibn Abdul Malik, he saw that the rule of Bani Umayyah is not a just rule. So he was against that rule. And he said that we must revolt against that rule because it is not based upon justice. This is the main idea for which Zaydiyya people or the followers of Zaydiyya are known. That is al-khuruj, revolting against the existing government. So he revolted, and of course he got many followers with him. As we remember that even one of our Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi, he was born in 80 years, in year 80 as well, like Zayd. So it means that they were contemporary. Imam Abu Hanifa was supporting him, but actually he did not come with him, but he was supporting him. Unlike his own brother, Zayd's brother was Muhammad al-Baqir. He did not support him. And Muhammad al-Baqir, later his son Jafar al-Sadiq, they are among the line of another branch of Shia which is known as the Shia al-Imamiyya. The 12ers, they believe in 12 Imams. So that line is very famous. Whenever we say about Shia, at once you will think about them. But this Zayd ibn Ali, he revolted against Hisham bin Abdul Malik, and because they were not very powerful at that time, they were defeated. Zayd ibn Ali was killed. He was taken by his supporters and was buried. But the other side of the people who fought them from Bani Umayyah, they were so much hostile against him that they took his body out of the grave. And then his head was cut and it was brought to the Caliph. But he himself was a very pious person, Zayd ibn Ali. He was known as Halif al-Quran. Halif al-Quran. Always with Quran, always reading Quran. Fasting, one day iftar. So in this way, this person who was known with his piety, with his knowledge, that this is how his life came to an end. After him, his son Yahya, he also continued with the same movement, and later he was killed as well. And then two more Imams came in that line. That was during the Abbasid Caliph, and they were killed as well. So the main thing by which Imam Zayd is known is revolting against an oppressive regime. That was the main idea which was always propagated by Zaydiyya throughout their history. Those people who followed Zayd, they were later divided into main three factions. They say one is Salihiyya, one is Sulaimaniya, one is Jarudiyya. Nowadays only among all these factions, only Jarudiyya is in existence, or you can say they still survive, and their ideas are now taken by some people who are known as Al-Husiyun in Yemen. Nowadays, if you are following the news, you always hear about Al-Husiyun. The present Imam is Abdul Malik Al-Husi, and he is the son of Al-Hussein. Before him, Badruddin Al-Hussein, he was Al-Husi Kadhalik. So during our times, these are the people who actually among Al-Jarudiyya, a faction of Zaydiyya. Now, Sayyidina Zayd was not able to establish a state. No, he was killed. But later in 280 of Hijrah, another person who was living in Arabian Peninsula, a place called Ar-Ras, this man whose name is Al-Hadi Yahya bin Hussein, Al-Hadi Yahya bin Hussein bin Qasim, he entered in Yemen. The first district in Yemen is Sa'da. You must have heard about Sheikh Muqbil bin Hadi Al-Muqbili, Sheikh Muqbil bin Hadi Al-Wadi'i. You must have heard about him. He was also in Sa'da. So this Sa'da, that is the main place from where Zaydi rule started. By whom? Al-Hadi Yahya ibn al-Hussein. So he started his rule in 284 till 1382, around 1100 years. 1100 years rule. It was, according to the Georgian calendar, it was 1962. 1962. In 1962, that regime was, there was a revolution against it, and then it turned into a democratic type of Yemen. So no more imamate of Zaydi Imam. So the last one, the last of their Imam was first Hamiduddin, who died in 1948, and then his son Badr, who was toppled in 1962. So these are the people who are known as Zaydiyya. And if we come to discuss about Zaydiyya, we must understand one thing, that among all the factions of Shia, the closest people to Ahlus-Sunnah are Zaydiyya. The closest people. Imam Taymiyyah also said it, that they are the closest people to Ahlus-Sunnah. Why? Though they say that Sayyidina Ali deserved the caliphate after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they don't curse Sayyidina Abu Bakr, they don't curse Sayyidina Umar, they don't curse Sayyidina Usman. They say that the caliphate of a person who is less preferred is allowed. Imamatul Mafdul. And the preferred person was Sayyidina Ali, and he was not able to be picked up as a Khalifa. Does not matter, because the main thing is that Sayyidina Abu Bakr, who was taken by or chosen by the people, by the Ummah, then he was the right caliph. So that is the best thing which is in Zaydiyya, that they don't curse Sahaba, they don't curse Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, and they don't curse the three caliphs. Anyhow, there are some differences in few things, because Imam Zayd was impressed by Al-Mu'tazila. He is a contemporary of Wasil ibn Ata, and Wasil ibn Ata, who has started this the movement of I'tizal. So this is why it is said that he got some of their views, Mu'tazila views. Among the Mu'tazila views is that they don't believe that human beings could sight Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not even in al-akhirah. So they negate al-ru'ya, they negate seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is why this ayah of Surah Al-Qiyamah, وُجُوهٍ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاظِرَةٍ إِلَى رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٍ. This means that that day there would be faces very fresh, and they were looking at their Lord. But they don't believe in looking at their Lord. So they say this Nazira does not mean from Nazara, to look at, but it is like intazara. They are waiting. They are waiting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is how they change, or they got the ta'wil of that meaning. In the very same way, They said that the person who committed the sin, major sins, the person who commits the major sins, there are three opinions about such a person. Extreme opinion is that of Khawarij. Khawarij, one of the Khariji, he killed Sayyidina Ali, Abdurrahman al-Muljam al-Khalid. So these people, they believe that the person who commits the major sin, he will not enter into Jannah. He will remain in the hellfire forever, forever, forever. This is their belief. Now these Mu'tazila, they said no, there is a place between the two places. Manzila bain al-manzilatayn. Manzila bain al-manzilatayn. So he is between hellfire and between al-Jannah. He will remain in hellfire, but they say that still we don't say him as a kafir. He is not kafir, but will remain in the hellfire forever. Khawarij people, they said that he is a kafir. The third opinion is that of Jumhur Ahlul Sunnah. Ahlul Sunnah say that the person who commits the major sin, if he repents, he becomes clean. And if he does not repent, he is under the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with the shafa'ah, with the intercession of Anbiya, with the intercession in the end by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will come out of the hellfire. So these are some opinion of Al-Mu'tazila, which were taken by Zaydiyah. And in the same way, giving ta'wil, yani taking a meaning of the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, even among Ahlul Sunnah there are Asha'ira who say that, what does it mean? Yadullah, the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The correct meaning is that all the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we say yes, they are the attributes of Allah, the hand of Allah, the eye of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't give an interpretation to these things. We say, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. Nothing is similar unto him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala listens and He sees. So we don't make ta'wil, we don't make an interpretation of these names. But Ash'ari people, they have given interpretation. They say Yad means Qudra, ability. Ayn means just to surveillance, to look after something. So in this way there is some ta'wil of sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ وَالْمَلَكُ صَفًّا صَفًّا. وَجَاءَ, coming of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They say no, this coming Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can't move from one place to another place. So it means جَاءَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ or أَتَى أَمْرُ اللَّهِ, that His commandment came. أَتَى أَمْرُ اللَّهِ. So in this way they have interpretation of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are as far as aqaid are concerned. Aqaid. But in practical or in their practice, there are few things by which Shia are distinguished. For example, when they pray, they don't place their hand, right hand, on the left hand like this, on the chest. So, but they just leave it loose. They don't fold it on the chest in the prayer. And this is the same way the Malikiya people, they do. So there is not much fuss about that thing. In the same way, they don't raise their hand when they go to ruku and they come out of the ruku. And they combine two prayers together, Zohar and Asr together, and then Maghrib and Isha together. One thing which they have added in Azan, after Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, they have added what? Hayya ala khairil amal. Hayya ala khair. They have added this statement. So these are the things which distinguish Shia. But otherwise, as I said to you, that Zaydiyya people are the closest one to Ahl Sunnah. And this is why they always read the books of Sunnah, Imam, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Sunan, and they take evidence from the book of Sunnah. So if in this context, let us read about Imam al-Shawkani. Now Imam al-Shawkani, who is known by his support of Sunnah, he has written against taqleed, blind following of Imams. He is the one who was writing books after books about this issue. People used to make tombs on the graves, and he's against the tombs, making the tombs upon the graves as well. Just like the people in Arabian Peninsula. Later they are known to be the followers of Imam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. And let us understand that Imam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab is also a contemporary of Shawkani. But Shawkani survived him for quite a long time. Imam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, he died in 1206. 1206. So it means Imam Shawkani died in 1250, 44 years after him. So anyhow, he has a poetry, qasida, praising Imam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab after his death. And one thing is that among the long history of Yemen, Shawkani is not the first one among the people who was brought up among Zaydiyya. And he is treated as one of Zaydiyya because he learned the science of Zaydiyya, he learned the books of Zaydiyya. So among the Zaydiyya, he was such a great scholar to support the Sunnah. His famous book in fiqh is Nail al-Awtar. And Nail al-Awtar is an explanation of which book? Al-Muntaqa. And this Al-Muntaqa is written by whom? The grandfather Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, Majd ibn Taymiyyah. So Nail al-Awtar, which is one of the greatest book of Imam al-Shawkani, that is all in support of Sunnah. So what we wanted to say that even before him, there were at least 4 great scholars in Yemen who were known with Sunnah. One is Muhammad bin Ibrahim al-Wazir. He got a very famous book called Al-Awasim al-Qawasim. Hussain Ahmad al-Jalal, Al-Hasan bin Mahdi al-Maqbali, and Muhammad bin Ismail al-Amir al-San'ani. Al-Amir al-San'ani, that person who has explained Bulugh al-Maram. And his book, Subul al-Salam, is taught in the University of Medina, in the Islamic University of Medina. So you can see that in Al-Madinah, the books of Imam al-Shawkani and books of Imam al-San'ani, his other short book is Tathhir al-I'tiqad an Adran al-Ilhad. That is also told there, is also taught there in Al-Madinah. So Imam Shawkani was born in that district which I mentioned in the beginning, Saada, in a place called Hajra Shawkan, a mountain, Hajra Shawkan. And then his father, because he was a qadi in Sana'a, he was brought up in Sana'a. At least he read upon 17 shuyukh, great 17 shuyukh. Among them is his own father, Ali bin Muhammad bin Abdullah, and another sheikh called Abdul Qadir bin Ahmad al-Kawkabani. That person taught him the books, the 6 books of Hadith, Bukhari, Muslim, and Sunan al-Arba. And then there was Al-Hasan bin Ismail al-Maghribi. You can say that this is the person, Al-Hasan ibn Ismail, that who guided him to read Al-Muntaqa and give an explanation of that book, write an explanation of that book. So we can also say that he is the person who moved him towards as-Salaf. So he became one of the Imams of Salaf. Imam Shawkani is also impressed by Ibn Hazm, by Imam Ibn Taymiyyah. He never went to any other place for learning outside Yemen. Why? Only because his parents did not allow him. They said, no, Yemen is a place of knowledge, just read here, don't go anywhere else. But another thing is also which we should know in the history, that he did not go even for Hajj. Might be some other reasons, but he did not go for Hajj. When he was just 20 years old, you can see that how intelligent he was. Just 20 years old, he has finished his studies and started teaching. And he used to have 13 lessons in a day, teaching the children. He started writing fatwa at that age of 20. But without taking any wages, any money upon al-fatwa. When he was 36 years old, at that time, the ruler of Yemen, that is among the lines of Zaydiyah, that ruler is known as Al-Mansur Ali ibn al-Mahdi. Al-Mansur Ali ibn al-Mahdi, during his time when their Qadi al-Qudat, yani the chief judge, whose name was Yahya ibn Salih al-Sahuli, he died in 1209, yani 3 years after the death of Imam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. When he died, there was a place for Qadi al-Qudat. He asked Shawkani to accept this post of Qadi al-Qudat. For 1 week, he was just thinking, should I take this post or not? Even people came from each and every quarter of Yemen telling him, please take this post. By this you are going to support Sunnah and you are going to demolish al-bid'ah. So Ash-Shawkani later, he made up his mind that I should accept this post and became Qadi. And he remained Qadi during the time of 3 rulers until his death, 1250. 3 rulers. First one, as you know, that he was Al-Mansur, then his son Al-Mutawakkil, then his son Al-Mahdi. For all that long period, he was a Qadi. Muhammad bin Ali al-Shawkani, he was known with his opinions. Let me mention some of his opinions. First of all, he is dead against taqleed, blind following of Imam. He said, follow Kitab and Sunnah. And then, some people, they have said that the gate of Ijtihad is closed after the 4th century. No, the gate of Ijtihad is not closed. It is still open. He said that the person who got enough knowledge and then he does not do ijtihad, he is committing shirk, he is committing kufr. Till that extent he said. And he said because the books of Sunnah are known to us nowadays, so ijtihad is easier for us in our times. Shawkani is saying 184 years ago that ijtihad is now very easy for us because the books of Sunnah are prevalent, are known everywhere, are found everywhere. And we must understand that during the time of Shawkani, there was no press in Yemen. Books were not printed at all. They were just copied. Though in Europe, from the 16th century, people have known the press and books started coming into publication. Not in Yemen. So if he was saying that thing 184 years ago, what about now? When you can say that all the books of Sunnah, mashallah, they have come to us and they are publicized. And we got access easily to all the books of the Sunnah. And I have mentioned that he was also against making tombs upon the graves. So he has written about that as well. Some of his fiqhi opinions. He says that a person who is drunk, if he divorces his wife, that divorce does not happen. You see now how the jurists see to that issue. Some jurists who say that the divorce of a drunkard person is valid, they say because he committed a sin, you must punish him. So if he divorces his wife, then this divorce is valid. This is what he said. This is what they say. But he said to them, Subhanallah, he is getting the sin of being drunkard. He will get the sin. And you want to punish him once more? There is a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for him. Why you want to punish him once again? If a person is drunkard, he is not in his senses. If he divorces, then this divorce is not acceptable. And that is the right view. In the same way, he has accepted the opinion of Imam Shafi'i, and that is the right opinion, where to stand on a janazah. So if it is a janazah of a man, then the Imam should stand facing his head. And if it is the janazah of a woman, then he should stand in the middle, just in the middle of the body. That is the stand which is taken by Imam Shawkani as well. And because he was appointed as Qadi, and before his time, in the court, people would come, all of them, and they sit in front of the Qadi. But he said, no, that is not the right attitude. Person should come one after the other, one after the other. So the Qadi could listen to the two persons who are against each other, who are complaining against each other. They could be in front of the Qadi without the involvement of any other person, any third person. So you can say that this is one of the reforms which he brought in the Yemeni courts. And later I am going to discuss about, that will be in the end of my speech, his opinions about the expulsion of the Jews and the Hindus from Yemen. Because this is one of the subjects which was not dealt with by many people. Many people who have written the biography of Imam Shawkani, they will not mention it. But it is mentioned by very, very few persons. So I am going to mention it in the end. Few things are taken against him, that Imam Shawkani believed few things to which we don't agree. Yes, not all the people are perfect. So he got some of defective opinion as well, as we could say. What are these opinions? I have mentioned the interpretation of some of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the people of Mu'tazila. But it is not very clear from his book. In some places he would say, when we discuss the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these two ayat are the major ayat. In the light of these two ayat, we can understand this issue. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. And the other ayah, يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُمْ وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِهِ عِلْمًا. So in the light of these two ayat, he explains the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in some places we see that he has taken ta'wil, or he has given the ta'wil of some of the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the issue of tawassul. Issue of tawassul, and when you make dua, can you mention the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam or his dignity, his jah, his dignity as a wasila? Atawassalu ilayka bi jahin nabi, that phrase, that I, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I come to you with the wasila of the status of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is said that Imam Shawkani, he confirmed this, or he approved this type of saying. And even if a person goes to a grave of a pious person, a wali for example, and then he does dua there, he says that as long as visiting the grave is allowed, then this dua is allowed as well. He was asked, what about if he points towards the grave? He said, no, pointing towards the grave is not allowed. And what she said that you can visit the grave of a wali, of a pious person, and you can make their dua if you want to make a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the same way, he said about the movement of Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, and later the rule which emerged between because of an alliance between Muhammad ibn Saud al-Amir and Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. So as you know, this rule, which was later known as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, because it was an alliance between the political the political leadership of Muhammad ibn Saud and the spiritual leadership of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. So he said that taking a spiritual leadership and enforce it upon the people as a hukum, as a rule, is not allowed. He was against that idea. This is another thing which has been mentioned about him. Now let us take a few more points from his life. As I said to you that he served 3 rulers of Yemen, Al-Mansur, then Al-Mutawakkil, then Al-Mahdi. In their absence, he used to take the oath of allegiance, Al-Bay'ah, from the people. In their absence, he used to write letters to different rulers of the surrounding countries. So it means that he got a very high positions in Yemen. And it is also said that when the forces from the Arabian Peninsula, and during the time of the rule of Muhammad ibn Saud, they have attacked different places, including Sana'a. Their forces came to Sana'a as well. And at that time, Al-Mansur consulted ulama. He consulted Imam Shawkani as well. What should we do? How to face those people who are attacking us? Imam Shawkani said a very interesting thing. He said, Imam, if you want really a victory from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then all those taxes which you have levied upon the people, withdraw them. Don't take from them any taxes. In Arabic it is known as al-mukus, the taxes which got no justification at all. In Arabic it is also known as al-jibayat. Al-jibayat. He said, finish all these jibayat, finish all these taxes, and then you will have victory from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There was some other ulama, Zaidi ulama, and they said to Al-Mansur, no, the government's main source of income is these taxes. If you don't take these taxes, you will have no income. So he went against the opinion of Imam al-Shawkani. Anyhow, Imam al-Mansur, he was very impressed by Imam al-Shawkani. He took the advice of Imam al-Shawkani, and the other person who was against him, because he started propagating against al-Shawkani, that other person was expelled to one of the islands in the Red Sea. There was a very disturbing event which happened during the lifetime of Imam al-Shawkani. You can say that was a test for him. As I told you that in Yemen mainly there was Zaydiyya, the follower of Zayd. And they are very much close to Ahlul Sunnah, but still they have their innovations, they have their bid'ah. Among Ahlul Sunnah, Shafi'iyah, they were present in Yemen, especially in Tihama, which is the coastal strip of the Red Sea of Yemen, in Yemen. And then in the highland, in the south of Yemen, like Aden. In the north were mainly Zaydiyya people, Sada and the surrounding areas, and Sana'a as well. So Imam al-Shawkani, in the year 1216 of Hijrah, the month is the month of Ramadan, and he was teaching Sahih al-Bukhari in the main mosque of Sana'a. And people flock to him, to listen to him. Now there was one of the ministers who was very much against him, and he got this extreme ideas of Shia. He did not like Imam al-Shawkani giving this lesson in Sahih al-Bukhari in Jami Sana'a. So he encouraged another Zaydi Imam. And very interestingly, this Zaydi Imam, whose name is Yahya bin Muhammad al-Husi, he is one of the teachers of Imam Shawkani. But because he was a Zaidi and he was instigated by this minister, he asked him to do a lesson in a book called Tafreed al-Qurub or Tafreed al-Karm. This book explains the merits of Sayyidina Ali. All right, merits of Sayyidina Ali, nothing wrong. So he used to do it in Masjid Salahuddin, not in Jami Sana'a, not in the big grand mosque of Sana'a. But because of this minister, he moved his lesson to Jami Sana'a and he started giving this lesson there. All right, talk about the merits of Sayyidina Ali. No, this person now started cursing Sahaba, the companions, Al-Khulafa al-Rashidi. And when he started doing it, more and more people come and join his lesson. It was a great fitna. There is this great traditionalist, Muhaddis, Imam al-Shawkani. And there is this person who is cursing Sahaba in the same mosque. So the matter was raised to the ruler Al-Mansur, and he stopped the person from doing the lesson in the mosque. So he did not come to the mosque. But his followers came to the mosque, and then when they did not find him, they asked the muazzin, where is our Imam? Where is our halaqah? Where is our circle? They said, no, he has been stopped. So they started shouting in the mosque. They started clapping in the mosque, and there was a great fitna inside the mosque. If it was inside the mosque, it might be tolerable. But they went outside the mosque to the houses of some other ministers who were supporting Al-Sunnah, starting stoning the houses. Even there were women and children in the houses, and they were all frightened. And they went to the house of Imam al-Shawkani as well, and throwing the stones on these houses. And you can see that if the stone hits a child or any other person in the house, it can kill. So this is what happened on that single day, that night. Then there were people who were sent by the ruler Imam al-Mansur, and the fitna was stopped. And the next day these people, they were taken group after a group after a group, and then they were punished. They were given some type of flogging by the sticks. This also shows that Imam al-Shawkani got such a great respect in the court of al-Imam, that Imam supported him and he did not support the other Zaydiyah who were creating fitna in the town. So we can say that this was one of the most troublesome moments in the life of Imam al-Shawkani. Now let me mention some of his books. In total, about 278 books were compiled by Imam al-Shawkani. 278 books. I have already mentioned Nailul Awtar, which is the explanation of Al-Muntaqa al-Akhbar by Majd ibn Zami. And then his tafsir book, Fathul Qadir. It is known, this book is known because it refutes al-Israeliyat, all narrations which are coming from Bani Israel sources. And he also refutes Imam Zamakhshari, who is one of Mu'tazila. Then he got his history book, Al-Badr al-Tali'. Al-Badr al-Tali', this book gives the biographies of all the great Imams from the 7th century of Hijrah till his own times. And it covers around 500 years. Because Imam al-Zahabi, in his book Siyar Alam al-Nubala, has covered till his own time. which is the 7th century. So from 7th century till 13th century, Imam Shawkani has covered all that long time, giving the biographies of all the great scholars and Imams. Then his book Irshad al-Fuhul, that is a great work in Usul al-Fiqh, the principle of fiqh. His book Al-Fawaid al-Majmu'ah, which speaks about the fabricated ahadith. Before him, Ibn al-Jawzi and Suyuti and Ibn Iraq, they have written about the fabricated ahadith. Imam al-Shawkani also added that issue with this book. Then all his fatwa are collected in a book called Al-Fath al-Rabbani. That is the book of fatwa in 2 great volumes. Another book, Ad-Durar al-Bahiyya. Another book in Al-Fiqh, Al-Sayyid al-Jarrar, Al-Mutadaffiq ala Hadayat al-Azhar. The book about negating taqleed, Al-Qawl al-Mufid, fi Adillat al-Ijtihad al-Taqleed. The book which speaks about those people who curse the Sahaba, negating or refuting their claims, and this book is known as Irshad al-Ghabi ila Madhhabi Ahl al-Bayt fi Sahb al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Let us speak about his pupils, his students. Some people, they said he got only around 13 students, another said 32 students, but somebody has listed 92 names of his students. Among them his own son Ahmad, who became Qadi as well. Among them is Ahmad, the son of the second ruler Al-Mutawakkil during his time. A great scholar of India, Abdul Haq Al-Hindi, Abdul Haq, he did Hajj in 1216, and then he came to take ijazah from Imam al-Shawkani. He came, in 1238. Imam al-Shawkani died 27 Jumad al-Akhirah. Now we are in the month of Jumad al-Akhirah as well. 27th Jumad al-Akhirah, 1250 of al-Hijrah. His janazah was held in the Grand Mosque of Sana'a, and he was buried in the cemetery of Al-Khuzaymah in Sana'a as well. To commemorate him, in Sana'a there is a big hall called Qa'a al-Shawkani. There is a road which is also known as Share Muhammad bin Ali al-Shawkani. In 1990, a seminar was held in Paris, in France, in Paris, France, just to discuss the great works of Imam al-Shawkani. So it shows that the people have given him a great respect by holding this seminar in a country like Paris, in a country like France. That was his life. Now I said that I'm going to mention in the end his opinions about the expulsion of the Jews and the Hindus from Yemen. Now this story starts not from his time. In 1088, one of the Zaydi rulers, who is known as Imam Mahdi, in his court this matter was raised. What should we do about the Jews living in Yemen? Because Yemen is the part of Arabian Peninsula. And the Prophet ﷺ has said before his death, أخرج اليهود والنصارى من جزيرة العرب. Expel the Jews and the Christians from the Arabian Peninsula. So that was the wasiyah of the Prophet ﷺ. So the matter was discussed. Now there were two opinions. One opinion was of Zaydiyya. Zaydiyya because they were ruled by the family of Al-Hadi, so this is why they are known as Al-Hadawiya as well. Hadawiya. So this branch of Zaydiyya is called Al-Hadawiya because of Imam Al-Hadi. He got books, and this is why he was a scholar. Al-Hadawiya said that there are two ahadith. One hadith of Abu Ubaidah, which says that expel the Jews and the Christians from Al-Hijaz. And they say that even Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Umar, in the time of Sayyidina Umar, when he expelled the remaining Jews in Al-Khaybar, so he expelled them actually from Al-Hijaz. In the beginning, the Prophet ﷺ's time, there were 3 tribes of Jews, and they were expelled because of their betrayal of the Prophet ﷺ. So that was one opinion, and that only from Al-Hijaz they should be expelled. And Hijaz is Makkah and Medina. This is Al-Hijaz. And the other opinion is, no, the whole Arabian Peninsula, which cover till south of Yemen, till the end of Yemen, they should be expelled from the Arabian Peninsula. So this Imam, who is Imam Mahdi, he agreed with the opinion of Shafi'i ulama, and he said, yes, they should be expelled. There were Hindus also living there, and they were known as Baniya. Till now, this word Baniya is known, that Hindus people, they are known as Baniya. So they said in English, they also write Baniya as well. So they were taken from Sana'a to the port of Aden and Mukha. They are very close to each other on Red Sea. The idea was that they should be expelled to India, because India is a very large country and it is populated by Hindus as well, so they would accept them easily. But because of some difficulties or because of some other circumstances, they were never expelled. They remained there, and later they came back to Sana'a after 1 year. Why they have come back? There are many opinions. Some people, they say that because they have bribed Al-Imam, they have bribed the ruler to remain in Yemen, this is why they were not expelled. Some others say no, because of the economy of Yemen, it depended upon the Jews and upon the Hindus, this is why they were not expelled. Later there was another family from Iraq, Jewish family, and among them one of their rabbi. You know, the rabbi is a name for their priest among the Jews. He came to the governor of Sana'a during the time of Muhammad bin al-Mutawakkil Ismail, that is 1097. He came to the governor of Sana'a. This person, this rabbi is known as Sulaiman Jamal. And he said to the governor of Sana'a, man, your rule has come to an end, because 1,000 years have passed upon their history. So that your rule has come to an end. Now this is our time to rule. A man is challenging the government in this way. So anyhow, he was captured, he was arrested and was taken to Al-Amir. And of course, it was just like a rebellion, a revolt against the existing regime. This is why this person has to be executed later. And Imam was very concerned because of that issue, and he wanted to expel them. And as I said to you, they were not expelled, but they came back to Sana'a. It is said that as far as the Hindus or Baniya, they were only 125 in the year 1763. Imam Shawkani, now we come to Imam Shawkani, because during the time of Imam Shawkani, there were still those people living in Sana'a. So this is why one of his short booklet is حل الإشكال في التقاط اليهود الأزبال. حل الإشكال في التقاط اليهود الأزبال. So they say that these people should only do one thing. They should be given one job, to clean the toilets and to pick all the waste of the animals from the streets. This is what it means. So we can say that Imam Shawkani, he got his participation in that issue as well. And he also wrote another booklet which is entitled حكم الصبيان الذين مات آباؤهم. What about those children, those young children whose fathers died and they became orphans? So these orphans should be accepted into Islam, should be raised as Muslims. That was his ruling or his fatwa. Though other people, they said because their parents are Jews, they should be treated as Jews or they should be raised like Jews. But Imam Shawkani said that as long as they are orphans, they should be given the benefit of Islam, they should be given the beauty of Islam, and they should be raised as Muslims. Most of the Jews in 1940, they have migrated to Palestine to become the part of Israel later. So this is how the Jews during our times, most of them, they are already migrated to Israel. In the end, let me mention that these Zaydi rulers, they were always among them, always supporters of Sunnah. Actually, they supported Imam Shawkani against their own Imams. So, it could be said very wisely that among all the Shia, the practice of Zaydiyya was the most wise one. They are the closest one to Ahl Sunnah. That is their position throughout the ages. But what happened? Because of some political tension nowadays, in our times, because of this political ambitions, that person who is now known as Al-Hussein ibn Badruddin al-Husi, this person fled away from Yemen. He went to Tehran, and though he did not confirm or he did not approve the beliefs of Shia at all, he does not believe in cursing Sahaba, he does not believe in cursing Al-Khulafa al-Rashideen, he does not believe in Taqiyya, he does not believe that our Imams are infallible, ma'soom, like the belief of Imamiyya. He does not believe that. But still, when he went there in Tehran, he stayed there for many years. He came back with all those beliefs of Imamiyya. And this is how, after his death, his son Abdul Malik, who became now the leader of Al-Husiyya or Al-Husiyun, now we can see that there is a friction between Al-Sunnah and Al-Husiyya, between Zaydiyya and Al-Husiyya as well. Even Zaydi ulama, they don't approve the beliefs of Al-Husiyun. But it is only a political conflict which is going on. So we must understand that the conflict here is not of Zaydiyya or Al-Sunnah. This conflict is a political conflict. Zaydi people, they have been ruling this country for quite a long time. Even their last Prime Minister, Ali bin Abdullah Saleh, he was a Zaydi as well. And the main thing is that Abdul Malik al-Husiyya, they want to revive that rule of Zaydiyya, but in a very extreme form, which they have inherited from Imamiyya, from Tehran. And this is what is disturbing. This is what is disturbing. But that is going to change the prevalent conditions in Yemen. And in Yemen, as I said to you, for the last 1,000 years, Ahlus Sunnah, Shafi'iyya and Zaydiyya, they were living side by side. Even there were marriages among them. And there were not many major conflicts. There were some, but not very major conflicts. Not like what was happening in Baghdad throughout the history of Abbasid period, when there were riots between Ahlus Sunnah and between the Shia. No, nothing like this in Yemen. So now with these new elements which have come from Tehran, we fear that the relations between the followers of Zaydiyya, the followers of Ahlus Sunnah, it is going to suffer now. And this should be avoided. This should be avoided. And still there are people among the scholars of Zaydiyya. I have listened to many of their scholars. And I'm thankful to Brother Ali Hasan, who gave me this opportunity. Because I did not think about this subject. I have been reading Shawkani, I've been reading Nailul Awtar, but I never read in so depth as I have read it to prepare for this lecture. So I have read quite a lot and listened quite a lot as well. So I can say that now there are ulama, there are scholars, Zaydi scholars, who wants to maintain those good relations which used to exist between Ahlus Sunnah and Zaydiyya throughout the ages. They don't want this conflict at all. So this is why they don't approve what Al-Husiyun people are doing nowadays. So these are the few things which I wanted to say this evening. وصلى الله تعالى على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.